A teenage boy named JD Vance is growing up with his mom, Bev, and his older sister, Lindsay. He is also close to his grandparents, Papa and Mama, who have been part of his life since day one. The family originally comes from Kentucky, but their roots are complicated. Years earlier, Mama left Kentucky and moved to Ohio after becoming pregnant with Bev outside of marriage. That same pattern repeats in the next generation. Bev becomes a mother at 18, also without a father in the picture, and JD and Lindsay grow up carrying the weight of that instability. Even though they all live on the same street, they are not under one roof. Mama lives alone after divorcing Papa, while Papa stays at his own place down the road. Bev lives with the kids, trying to hold everything together as a single mother. On the surface, Bev looks like someone doing her best. She works as a nurse at a hospital, trying to provide for her children. But behind the scenes, she is battling addiction. While on the job, she sometimes steals medication meant for patients and takes it herself to feed her dependents. At home, that addiction spills into everything. JD often catches his mother crying for no clear reason, and as a kid, he cannot help but blame himself. One minute she is loving, the next minute she is unpredictable, and JD never knows which version of her he is going to get. This is the world he grows up in. This is Hillbilly Elegy. One Easter, Bev invites her boyfriend Kevin, a police officer, to celebrate with them. Kevin brings JD a dog as a gift, but it quickly turns into chaos. The dog is huge, unruly, and hard to control. JD is told to take it outside, but it slips away, runs into Bev's room, and makes a mess. Bev snaps, yelling and exploding over something that should have been small. Lindsay tries to calm her down, and for a moment, Bev seems to catch herself. But the peace does not last. When the dog causes trouble again and JD accidentally knocks into the table, the Easter decorations get ruined, and Bev's anger flares all over again. Later, Bev apologizes and tries to make it up to JD. She takes him to her favorite store to buy football cards, and for a little while, it feels like a normal mother and son moment. They talk, they laugh, they bond over favorite players, but then JD accidentally drops something. The store owner scolds them even though they are trying to clean it up, and Bev takes it personally. The tension rises fast. The owner ends up kicking them out, and Bev, fueled by pride and anger, steals the football cards on the way out as payback. In the car, she announces another big change. She wants to move in with Kevin, promising JD his own room and a better setup. But JD is exhausted by this cycle. Every time Bev gets a new boyfriend, their lives get uprooted, and he is tired of starting over again and again. At school, JD's friends even know about his mom's pattern, and they tease him for it. Bev takes everything as an attack, and she spirals. Her anger turns into reckless threats, and she starts talking about crashing the car. JD gets so scared he crawls into the back seat, trying to protect himself. In the middle of the panic, Bev swings at him without even thinking. And that is the moment JD realizes he is not safe.
Get your fucking self, you fat ass! You don't! You can't do that to me!
JD runs desperate and begs nearby people for help, terrified that his mother might actually hurt him. He calls Mama to come get him, because he knows he needs someone stable, someone who will show up. But even then, the situation keeps escalating. Bev forces her way in, grabs JD, and tries to drag him out. The police arrive just in time to stop things from getting worse. Soon, Mama, Papa, and Lindsay rush to the scene, and Bev is handcuffed, facing arrest. And still, JD cannot bring himself to let her go. Even after everything, he protects her. He insists she is not dangerous. He claims she is only angry because he was acting up, and he refuses to press any charges. Without a complaint, the police let Bev go. Afterward, Mama confronts her daughter. She cannot accept what almost happened, and she is exhausted from years of excuses. Mama believes Bev should be taking responsibility for her children, not dragging them through constant chaos. The tension between them boils over, and the argument turns into a painful reminder of how deep this family's wounds really run. One day, Papa suddenly goes silent. When Mama, Bev, and JD go to check on him, they break down the door and find him dead in his recliner. Bev immediately calls the coroner, overwhelmed by the reality that her father is gone. Not long after, the family holds his funeral. On the drive home, Bev openly takes pills, unable to cope with the loss. To her, Papa was the one person who truly understood her, and now that anchor in her life is gone. Soon after, while at work, she falls back into old habits. She steals medication from patients and takes it herself. She is actually about to leave for the day when she notices a coworker with roller skates and decides to borrow them. Under the influence, Bev starts skating through the hospital hallways, completely out of control. The behavior costs her job. Mama is furious, believing Bev never thinks about the impact her actions have on her children. Bev pushes back, insisting she has been thinking about her kids ever since she became a mother at 18. Lindsay also lashes out, and the tension between them explodes. The argument turns physical, and after being hit, Lindsay decides she has had enough and leaves to stay with her boyfriend. With the house in constant chaos, JD begins spending more time at Mama's place where things feel calmer. One evening, while JD and Mama are playing cards, they hear shouting outside. Mama brushes it off as trouble in the neighborhood, but JD senses something is wrong. His instinct is right. Outside, Bev is having a complete breakdown. Wearing only a bathrobe, she spirals out of control and attempts the unthinkable, blaming God for Papa's death. Even Kevin cannot calm her down. Neighbors call for help, and soon ambulances and police arrive. The scene is loud, chaotic, and frightening, and Bev is taken away for her own safety. Mama arrives and shields JD and Lindsay from seeing too much of what is happening. After that incident, Bev is sent to a rehabilitation center. She also ends her relationship with Kevin. Before entering treatment, she promises that she will finally become a better mother once she gets out. Time passes, and out of nowhere, Bev announces that she has married a man neither JD nor Mama has ever met. JD is furious. Once again, his life is uprooted, and he is forced to move into a new house. His stepfather, Ken, is Bev's boss at her new job, and Ken has a son named Travis, who becomes JD's new roommate. It quickly becomes clear that Ken is not a good influence. He grows marijuana in the basement and smokes regularly. Even worse, Travis also uses drugs behind his father's back. One day, Travis tries to pull JD into it, but JD refuses. He worries that Bev, who is supposed to be recovering, is being surrounded by the same dangerous environment all over again. His fears turn out to be justified. One afternoon, Bev shows up at Mama's house and asks JD for a urine sample, claiming she needs it for a hospital drug test. JD refuses immediately. He is crushed by the possibility that his mother has started using again. Once more, Bev promises she will do better, but JD is exhausted by promises that never lead to change. Mama overhears the argument and steps in. She urges JD to help his mother this one time so Bev does not lose her job again. JD snaps, blaming his grandmother for never being firm with her own daughter. Mama reminds him that no matter what, Bev is still his mother. She believes that helping her now might finally push her to change. Reluctantly, JD gives in and provides the sample to protect his mom. Not long after, JD goes to visit Mama, only to find her collapsing in front of him. Panicked, he calls an ambulance. Mama is hospitalized and diagnosed with pneumonia. Watching her lie in a hospital bed, JD is overwhelmed with fear, terrified that he might lose the one person who has always been his safe place. At school, JD gets called into his teacher's office because his grades are slipping. He is told he needs to buy a calculator for algebra, but by this point, he is fed up with everything. With Mama still in the hospital, JD starts acting out. He invites his friends, along with Travis, to drink at Mama's house while she is away. That night, things spiral even further. Using Mama's car, JD goes with his friends to a workplace where one of them has just been fired. What starts as anger quickly turns destructive. They trash the place, alarms go off, and panic sets in. As they try to escape, the car ends up in a ditch, and all of them are caught. Lindsay later tells Mama what happened while she is still lying in her hospital bed. JD is lucky enough to avoid jail. Lindsay feels guilty, believing she failed by not being there for her brother more. Mama shuts that idea down immediately, reminding her that JD is not Lindsay's responsibility. He is Bev's. While recovering in the hospital, Mama cannot find peace. She knows JD is drifting and worries he is not getting the attention he desperately needs. Even though she is supposed to be resting, she decides to take action. Mama goes straight to Ken and Bev's house to get JD. When she arrives, JD is in his room smoking marijuana with Travis. Mama makes it clear that JD needs someone watching over him before he completely loses his way and ends up behind bars. Bev tries to stop her, but JD chooses to go with his grandmother. Not long after, he packs his things and leaves that house behind. Moving in with Mama does not just give JD a safer home. It also cuts him off from the friends who have been pulling him in the wrong direction. JD is angry about the rules and the strict discipline. but Mama believes he will understand someday. She makes him do chores like washing dishes, and after years of chaos, JD is not used to being corrected. The constant discipline frustrates him, and he lashes out at her. One day, JD goes to a store to look at the calculator his teacher told him to buy. When he sees how expensive it is, he makes a terrible decision and tries to steal it. He gets caught immediately and is scolded by the store owner. Once again, Mama steps in and pays for the calculator herself. Instead of showing gratitude, JD throws it out the window in anger. That moment becomes a breaking point. Mama forces him to retrieve it and finally delivers a hard lesson about responsibility and respect. JD explodes, shouting that he hates her, but the message lands deeper than he realizes. Not long after, a Meals on Wheels worker comes to Mama's house. The program delivers free food to people in need, especially the elderly. Mama asks if she can have one extra box because her grandson is staying with her, but the worker explains that each household has a set portion. Mama admits she is struggling badly that month. She cannot even afford her medication. In the end, she is given some extra fruit. Watching this, JD finally understands how much his grandmother is sacrificing for him. The money that should have gone toward groceries had been spent on his calculator. That day, they split the food in half, just so they could both eat. That moment changes everything. JD starts taking responsibility. He cleans the house, keeps the kitchen in order, and commits himself to studying. He even takes a part-time job at a store. Little by little, his effort pays off. When the algebra exam results come back, JD earns the highest score. When he gets home and shows Mama his grade, her pride is unmistakable. Time moves quickly. After graduating from high school, JD decides to join the military and is deployed to Iraq. While he is serving overseas, Mama passes away, leaving a lasting void in his life. Years later, JD is fully grown and pushing forward on his own. He moves to a new city for college and takes on 3 different jobs just to pay his tuition. He is the only one in his family to ever attend college, and he eventually finds himself studying law at Yale in Connecticut. During this time, he is in a relationship with Usha, a fellow student from India. As summer approaches, both of them begin searching for internships. Usha secures a position in Washington, while JD struggles to find one of his own. He wants badly to land an internship that will allow him to be in Washington with her. JD meets with the school's administration to talk about his finances. Even with 3 jobs, he cannot cover his $21,000 tuition bill. He is advised to aim for a high-paying internship, since some positions offer up to $30,000. The opportunity could solve everything, but JD is terrified of failing the interviews. All he wants is a backup plan in case things fall apart. One night, JD attends a firm week dinner, an event where students meet lawyers from top law firms and compete for internship spots. It is not just a social dinner, but a chance to sell himself and make an impression. JD sets his sights on one specific person, Philip Rosman, whose firm is based in Washington. When he is shown which guest is Philip, JD immediately takes the open seat beside him. Surrounded by unfamiliar table settings, JD feels completely out of place. Unsure how to navigate the formal etiquette, he steps outside and calls Usha, who patiently walks him through what each fork is for. Right after that call, JD hears from Lindsay. She tells him that Bev has been hospitalized again, this time because of heroin addiction. Shaken and distracted, JD returns to the table with his mind in chaos. As the conversation turns to his background, JD shares where he comes from. Growing up in Kentucky, joining the military, and being sent to Iraq after high school. He also mentions that his family worked factory jobs. The room's energy shifts and the interest fades. When someone makes a subtle remark that feels insulting, JD pushes back. He refuses to accept the label being placed on his family. He speaks with pride about his mother, who once ranked near the top of her high school class and, in his eyes, may be smarter than anyone at that table. Philip appears to support him, but JD walks away feeling like he ruined his chances. After the event, JD calls Lindsay again and learns that Bev is now dating a man named Ray, who is also an addict. Lindsay admits she can no longer keep an eye on their mother while managing her own life. She urges JD to come home. The timing could not be worse since the interviews are scheduled across the entire week, but JD feels trapped. He has no real choice. That same night, JD gets into his car and drives back to Ohio. During the long drive, he calls Usha and explains that he has to return home because his mother is in the hospital. Usha offers to come with him, but JD stops her. He does not want to pull her deeper into his family's problems. After hours on the road, JD finally reaches Ohio and goes straight to the hospital. By the time he arrives, Bev has already been told she needs to leave, but she refuses. She and Lindsay end up arguing with the nurses, and the situation grows tense. The core problem is simple and brutal. Bev no longer has insurance because she stopped paying her premiums. When the doctor arrives, JD asks to speak privately. He pleads for his mother to be allowed to stay just one more day while he searches for a proper program to help her. The doctor refuses. Bev is only given an outpatient prescription and is told she must leave the hospital by 3 in the afternoon. Instead of accepting that outcome, Bev turns her frustration toward JD, mocking him and implying that all his education amounts to nothing. That comment shuts JD down completely. He has no energy left to argue. Lindsay, on the other hand, is grateful that her younger brother came home to help at all. In the middle of the chaos, JD receives an unexpected call. He has been selected for a final interview with Philip Rosman, scheduled for 10 o'clock the next morning. The news brings a rush of relief and excitement. JD apologizes to Lindsay, knowing he will have to leave again later that night. At Lindsay's house, JD calls Usha and updates her on his mother's condition. He also shares the news about the final interview. Usha is genuinely happy for him and even offers to stay behind and look after Bev while JD attends the interview. JD refuses. He does not want to burden Usha with his family's problems, especially now that his mother is no longer dealing with prescription drugs but has turned to heroin. The situation is far worse than before, and Usha is stunned by how serious it has become. Before 3 o'clock, JD and Lindsay return to the hospital to pick up their mother. After that, they try to place Bev into a rehabilitation center where she had once been treated years earlier. Because of past issues there, the staff initially turned JD away. JD refuses to give up. He explains that his mother has been unraveling since Mama's death. He insists that Bev is a good person who is simply drowning under stress. He keeps pushing, pleading for her to be given another chance. Eventually, his persistence works and the rehab facility agrees to take her in. But the moment Bev realizes what is happening, she walks out. She refuses treatment and rejects the idea of being pitied. JD cannot understand why Lindsay continues to defend their mother after everything they have been through since childhood. That is when Lindsay finally opens up about the past. She explains that Bev's childhood was even darker than theirs. When Bev was young, her home was filled with constant conflict. Papa was a severe alcoholic and often violent. The fights between Papa and Mama were intense and relentless. At one point, Mama was so overwhelmed that she set Papa on fire while he was passed out drunk. If Bev had not rushed in to put the flames out, Papa might have died that night. Before they part ways, Lindsay admits a hard truth. She knows she cannot save their mother, but at the very least she has chosen to forgive her. After hearing Lindsay's story, JD gets into the car and tries to approach his mother with compassion. He softens his tone and shows Bev a photo of Usha, hoping to remind her of something good. Bev insists she is fine and claims she is simply having a bad day. Refusing to stay at a rehabilitation center, Bev asks JD to drive her to Ray's place, her boyfriend, who is also struggling with addiction. When they arrive, things fall apart immediately. Ray throws Bev's belongings out of the house and forces her away, humiliating her in the process. JD is furious and nearly loses control, ready to fight him. A confrontation is avoided only because there are other family members and young children inside the house. JD swallows his anger and helps his mother gather her scattered belongings outside. Knowing he has to leave soon, JD turns to Lindsay for help. Lindsay explains she cannot take Bev in because of her own children. Instead, she suggests that JD put their mother in a motel for the night and promises to check on her later. With no better option, JD does exactly that. Before leaving, JD steps out to buy his mother some food. When he returns to the motel room, Bev is gone. It becomes painfully clear that she has left to use heroin again.
No!
JD knows he loves his mother. He wants desperately to save her and help her heal. But he also understands a hard truth. If he stays, he will not be able to help anyone, including himself. With a heavy heart, JD decides to leave and head back to Connecticut. This time, Bev does not fight him. She lets him go without causing a scene. Completely exhausted, JD gets back on the road, knowing he has to make it to his interview the next morning. During the long drive, Usha stays on the phone with him, keeping him awake and grounded. They talk for hours, and JD finally opens up about everything he has been carrying, especially the role his grandmother played in shaping the person he has become. In the end, JD arrives just in time. He makes it to his interview and gets the chance to meet Philip Rosman in person for the final round. That is where the story comes to a close. JD Vance graduates from Yale Law School in 2013. In 2016, he publishes his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. JD and Usha marry in 2014 and build a family together. Lindsay and Kevin remain married and raise their 3 children. Bev works as a house cleaner and bookkeeper, spending as much time as she can with her grandchildren. After many years of struggle, she finally manages to stay clean and leave drugs behind. So the moral of the story is that you can love someone deeply and still not be able to save them. Sometimes the only thing you can do is choose to survive and become better.